Hi everyone. I'm very, very, very excited this week because you get to meet one of my all-time favorite people. This is Frances, and she is the owner of Frogworks. My mom introduced me to her many years ago because we used to call it her witch's brew. But she has all these amazing tonics and elixirs to keep you healthy in a very earthy way, I guess I would say. So I want Frances to tell you a little bit about herself, where she's from, how she got to do what she was doing, and then this month's giveaway is going to be some honey from Frances's Queen Bees. So if you want that, you know the drill. You got to let me know as soon as possible because there will be a limited supply. And she also said that she was willing to give a discount to my people. So just let me know if you want more information. But I will let you talk.
Thanks, Amber. Hi, I'm Frances Cleveland, and this is my spectacular moment with Amber. So I started Frogworks back, I incorporated it back in 1996, but I started with the plants back in 1993, 94. And what happened is my horse had a skin problem, and I spent a lot of money on vet bills trying to get that situation under control, and nothing worked. So my vet finally just looked at me and he said, "You're just gonna have to live with it." So I thought, I don't think so. And I had just started learning about essential oils and some herbs, more in the oils, and I bought this book, and I opened the book up, and I said, I have no clue what to do. And I remember my horse almost died from septic shock, and I thought, well, I have to be really careful because I don't know what set that condition off in his system. So I read this book, and I said, okay, these are the 3 oils I'm going to put in this bottle. And it was water-based, and I did it exactly the way you're supposed to. And I gave it to the girls at the barn, and I said, could you just spray it on his tail once, twice a day, every day? And they're like, sure. So I was like, okay. So I went back a week later because I was living in New York City, and we had a little house in Connecticut. So we were a week in the city, weekend in the country. And I went back a week later, and my horse name was Pete. And literally the skin condition that he had, it was like hamburger. It was so raw, and he would just rub it and rub it and rub it. It was horrible. And I did some folk remedies, and that was the most painful experience that he ever went through. And I said, okay, these old farmer remedies are not working. So then when I gave the bottle to the girls, like I said, and a week later I went back, and all that rawness had scabbed over. I was like, wow, this is really cool. So
I like this.
I was like, this is exactly what I wanted. So then I went back a week later, and the hair was growing back. I'm like, oh, I'm so happy that this is working. And then I went back a week later, and I had all these notes in my tack box, which is where you keep all your horsey stuff. And all these people were saying, so can I buy some? Or no, they were asking me if they could have it. And I was like, sure, you can have it. And my husband pulled me aside, and he said, just sell it. I was like, sell it? I said, all right. Because he said, I see how much money you're putting into it. Just get something back. So I said, all right. So I put this ridiculous price on this bottle, and people were buying it. And I made these labels on the computer and using clip art. It was really kind of juvenile in a way, but it wasn't meant to be anything. So finally somebody said, well, what's the name of your company? I was like, really? The name of my company? I said, Frogworks. And everybody's like, okay. They go, why? I said, because that's my nickname. Frog. And so they go, okay. So it was called Frogworks. And I would drive up and down the East Coast trying to sell this product. And I was amazed at these tack shops who were like, yeah, we'll buy it. I was like, wow, this is really kind of cool. So I took every Friday off, and I drove up and down the East Coast. And then another thing happened was when our dog Jake, which was really my husband's dog, he knew Jake longer than I did, and he got a hot spot. And John was traveling, and his mother was taking care of the dog because I was traveling. And the vet did what they normally do. They give the dog a steroid shot. Well, this didn't work very well on Jake. He had kidney failure the next day. So I came home, and I was helping his mom take care of Jake, so John could come home and say goodbye to him. And so we did that. And when we said goodbye, we were burying Jake in his mother's pet cemetery in the back of her yard. And he just looked at me and goes, "You've got to make a product for dogs." I was like, "This isn't what I do. I have a real job." I said, "This is just for fun." He goes, "I don't care." And he was so adamant. So I was at our house and I was sitting next to Jake's water bowl and food dish. And I said, "Okay, Jake, you got to help me out with this one." And then the next day I was in my little tiny herb garden. I mean, it was like a 2x2, 2 feet by 2 feet. And I was playing around with some echinacea. And also I said, "Oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do." And no, echinacea was not in it. So I made a product for dogs called Jake's Canine Remedy. So I had Jake's Canine Remedy and I had Pete's Equine Remedy. And those were my two main products. And they just worked really, really well. And then one day my husband came home from work and he said, "What do you think about living in Colorado?" I go, "Not much." So I go, I wasn't ready to leave. I mean, I'm from back east. I'm from Connecticut. So I wasn't ready to leave. And so push forward, we moved here. And then all these other products came into fruition. And it was because I moved to this land. And I had the time to really bond with the plants. And I created products that I'm just proud of them because they work. And my main focus was animals can't talk. And I really wanted to be safe with animals because I see what was going on and people really weren't caring about the animal and the safety and what's good for the animal. But I was, because I had two very fragile animals that I made stuff for, and I had to make sure that it was safe. So that's the beginning of Frogworks, and that's why Amber and I are sitting here today.
It's so her animal remedies are very popular, but then there's remedies that I love. Frances makes me a hot toddy for my female cramps, and I think it's the best thing in the whole world. And she makes hair-raising cider for when you're sick. And if you've ever had any of my elderberry syrup, I learned that from Frances. I mean, it's just, I love her relationship with plants and what she does with them to make things better for her fellow man and fellow animal. It's incredible. So, what do you think your favorite product is?
I have two.
Okay.
My Peace Blend and my Path to Comfort. Those are my two favorites. Those are my go-to if I can't sleep or Peace Blend was made for my horse who was passing on. Transitioning is what I call it. And I did a little ceremony for him in his stall before we had to say goodbye. And every oil I used in his spiritual bath, I was just thinking about it, like, wow, so many people go through this gut-wrenching experience with their animals and it's never the right time. So I thought, what if I just put these oils in a bottle and just gave it away to people? And then as I was creating the blend, I just said, I'm going to call it Peace Blend because that's what it did for Pete. And that's what it did for John and I when we were doing this little ceremony for him. And I if any transition you're going through in life, I'm actually writing a blog on this right now, that any transition, like if you're buying a new home,
I'm gonna need some of that.
Or you're selling your home. I have a dog who has osteosarcoma right now, and we're constantly using the Peace Blend as he's transitioning through that experience, and myself. So that's what I love about the Peace Blend. And the Path to Comfort I created because our dog Oscar, who is a ferocious rabbit hunter, much to many small children's disgust. So one day he was in the yard. He was old, I'm 13 going on 14, and the rabbit comes hopping through, and he gets up and he goes to lunge and he just lays back down. And I was like, "Oh, you poor baby." And he was so depressed because he had no
his whole life
strength and he was like, he just went. So I said, I'm going to make you like a senior dog remedy. So this Path to Comfort I created for emotional and physical comfort. And I love it. I love it.
I can't rave highly enough of her products, and I'm going to include a link. And if any of you have heard about her winter health class, that's kind of been on hiatus because of COVID, but when it comes back, I mean, I put it out, and it's something that's really special and wonderful to me. But again, Frogworks, I'll put everything in here. If you do have more curiosity about it, just reach out to me, or Frances, she loves to talk about it, and it's really informative. So thank you for being with me today.
Well, thank you.
I really appreciate it, and I hope you all have a healthy Thanksgiving.